listening to 27 Talks Podcast. Step into the world of hair. We've got ideas and stories to share. Supporting salon culture and life. We'll provide the education. One talk at a time. You're listening to 27 Talks Podcast. With your host, Amber Pope. We'll tell you all you need to know. Let us be your inspiration. Won't you join us for the ride? One talk at a time.
In this episode, Amber sits down with legendary barber, Robert-Jan Rietveld.
Hi, and welcome to this episode of 27 Talks. I'm delighted to share with you my guest for this episode, Robert-Jan Rietveld. Rob is better known as the Bloody Butcher of Schorem Barbershop, Rotterdam, Netherlands. Rob took some time during shutdown over in Netherlands. He's actually shut in and away from the barbershop at the moment, and we carved out some time to discuss not only hair history and understanding the journey and the foundational elements that create modern hairdressing from where we came from, paying tribute to those ideas and traditions and expanding upon them in your own creative way, behind the chair and within education for future generations to come. But we also talked about wellness and the taxation that, yes, this business and this industry has on our own bodies, but wellness in general, especially in times like these where self-care, a little bit of self-love and sometimes a good kick in the pants to wake us up, get us on the right track, put one foot in front of the other, hit the pavement running, and we get to share each other's journeys along the way. It was a really fun talk. I'm so excited to get to share that with you all. Enjoy this episode. Thanks again, Rob. Amazing chat. Enjoy. Well, I'm so excited to introduce Rob, the Bloody Butcher himself. Rob, thank you so much for being on this show with me, and welcome to 27 Talks.
Thank you so much for having me. All the way from the Netherlands. I know it's super early for you. It's 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, welcome, and thanks so much for making time. I mean, it's so exciting to speak to you all the way across the other side of the globe. I mean, I'm excited to share in the industry that you and I both love so much and get to learn a little bit about you and who you are. So let's start with, how long have you been a barber?
I started barbering when I was 14 years old, and I am 46 now. So you do the math, 32 years and counting. Although I got to be a little honest, I haven't been literally behind the chair on a daily basis for about the last 3 or 4 years. So I'm still doing a lot of hair. I'm doing a lot of classes. I teach a lot of classes, and my love has shifted more to the education part of barbering than being behind the chair on a daily basis. I've done that for 30 years in a row. And I was kind of, well, I'm not done, but, I wanted to see more sides of my profession.
It's amazing that this industry will really get you started where your feet are firmly planted behind that chair and you're just cranking it out nonstop. And then it can easily segue into, well, now I've hit this level where I want to share and create. And then you can move into that level where you can step away from behind the chair. Was that a hard process for you, or did it just kind of organically happen?
Well, it kind of organically happened because the thing is, I started as a barber, then I became an apprentice in a salon. My sensei, he taught me. He started with classic barbering, but I drifted into hairdressing, which became a very big part of my life. I've always loved hairdressing till up to a certain point where I was kind of lost, and then we started Schorem. So I went back to where I came from, doing only classic haircuts. And Schorem was kind of I was on a crossroad in my life and maybe even a little depressed because I didn't really know what to do. So I was like, you know what? Let's cut away all let's cut away all the bullshit. That's pretty much what it comes down to. So we started this very basic barbershop, but it grew into a success, a huge success. I mean, we could not remotely believe what was happening. There were 100 guys waiting in front of the door every morning. This is not, I know there are stories about our barbershop, and I hope some of them are not true because I've heard the weirdest stories ever. But that is actually true. It became a phenomenon first in our town, because that for us is always what a barbershop is about. It's the spider in the web of a community. That's what we started for our friends, the network, actually, because we were going to bands, we were partying hard. So we kind of wanted that to bring together. But then because of social media, which was growing, Facebook was relatively new. So, everybody, and all of a sudden we got people first from the Netherlands and then from Germany, France, Belgium, Sweden. We had guys coming over in vans, sleeping in the vans. It was insane. So then Schorem grew way too fast. We were not prepared for that success. And then we started our grooming brand called Ruzel. And because of Ruzel, we started traveling. And we traveled more and more and more because everybody wanted to have a little part. They wanted to get to know us. So it was insane. All of a sudden, I was in Japan one week. I was in Australia the next week. And I was in Canada the week after. And so we kind of had to restructure the barbershop because we needed people that could take care of the shop. And all of a sudden we were just like doing classes around the world. So our whole profession kind of changed with that. And at a certain point I felt when I walked into the shop, these other guys that we made our shop leaders, the managers, they were taking such great care of the shop that all of a sudden I actually had extra time to focus on photo shoots. And then we started the old school, which is our academy. And I've been teaching hair for 25 years. I've been doing that for a long time, but then it became my main focus. And the hardest part of starting a school is to build a system that works on every client. And this sounds super easy, but it's not. It is the hardest thing I ever had to do, to come up with a system like work with this base. And I believe in foundation, because a lot of people are like, oh, they only do one haircut. No, it's not true. We do a very strong foundation. You can build every house you want, but without, and you can go for the purple windows with but which makes it beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's not going to survive without that foundation. And when we were building our academy, we really had to come up with a plan that somebody from Japan could walk in, but somebody from Italy could walk in, and that we could show them a base haircut. And from there, we do kind of this classic styles. But if you want to do a modern haircut, we want to show you how you work from that base. So that took a lot of my time to figure that all out. And all of a sudden, I was not really in the shop behind the chair anymore because my interest had kind of shifted. So, as you finding out right now, I talk a lot. So be careful.
I love it. Oh, you bring it on. I love it. I'm such a gabber, but I'm also so engaged with everything you're saying. It's amazing to hear how that journey was for you, because this is something that, with my own salon and with me being behind the chair for as long as I've been, there's this sort of limitation. One, creatively, two, with what you want to give, what you feel like you're capable to give outside of your bubble, but also like the confines of like my own body. Like I've been doing this for a long time and it's hard work standing up behind that chair. But what I love that you took on this major task of like creating this foundational education that is world renowned. I mean, I'm sitting over here in Phoenix and I've been following you guys a long time, like a huge fan, huge admirer of what you're doing for your craft specifically. But to lay that all out on paper and in black and white, it's amazing that you took that task on and that it's still doing what you set out to do, but even more globally. That's huge. I mean, so like hats off to you on it's phenomenal. I'm having a hell of a time just writing like an employee handbook this weekend, let alone writing an entire training manual on how to do the craft that you're so passionate about. But it's really, really well done on that. It's great. So, and the industry is so much better for it. So thank you for whatever that means, but thank you
Oh
for
no,
that.
no, but that is a huge compliment. I think the hair industry is more interesting than ever because all the cultures and subcultures are stealing from each other, which is the best thing that could ever happen. You know, you can see that the rockabillys look at it's all blending in. You see hip hop artists that going into the tattoos and everything, and it's all within hair when you go out on the streets. And I am the lucky one because I get to travel. I go to Tokyo and I go to Berlin the next day. But people are all. It's so interesting. There are whole new subcultures emerging, and within hair, super creative. I mean, I do my classics, but the thing is, you got to change to stay the same, So you gotta learn from what other people's are doing. Stay inspired. That is like the biggest danger in our business to lose inspiration because you get good at something and then it becomes a trick, And when it becomes a trick and everybody says, "Oh my God, you're so great," it is very easy to start believing that and just go on that. "Oh my God, you're great." Sometimes you got to let go of that and just take the sidewalks, just kind of get off that track. It's super interesting, and I'm very lucky to work with my the photographer that I got because we love our movies, we love our comic books, we have a lot of inspiration, and we combine all this, and then we got the school, we got the shop, and we got Russo that we can, So for me, being at home because of the COVID, it's driving me absolutely mental because there is so much I want to do right now. We are working on an amazing project, but I'm stuck. So it's driving me nuts.
Well, I love that you brought up your photographer because Yella is amazing in capturing what you guys do so well. Like that, it takes so much work to make that craftsmanship like show in real life, but to capture it in this like vision for whatever platform, whether that's a photo hanging on a wall versus something you're like swiping through or scrolling up, you will stop and be like, holy shit, that image is bananas. It looks like you stepped back in time, but at the same time, it's so fresh, it's so modern, it's so now. And that's that marriage that you guys have and that creativity from you, your team, your partners, and then the photography side of it. There's something like palpable there that you can see that creativity coming together in just one shot. It's phenomenal too.
Yeah, Yella walked in one day, and I'm talking 10 years ago, and the shop was popular already, so we had a lot of the photographers walking in and going like, "Oh," but we learned one thing very fast that a lot of photographers, I mean, they take their craft very seriously, like us. So and we will always work with you. So if you got to bring in 25 lights and we have to stand like this, and you take 500 shots, it's okay. We'll do it. But Yellow walked in one day, and he was still in school. He was in photography school, and he sent me an email. He said, "Hi, my name's Yella. Can I take a photo? I'm doing a school thing about old craftsmanship." And we're like, "Sure, dude, come in." I'll never forget it. He walked in, he introduced himself, and he took one photo. One. And he walked out. And Lane, my business partner, and me, we were like, "Really?" But he took the best photo ever. So he showed it to us. He said, "This is it." And we were like, "Oh my God, it is so good." And then at a certain point, I wanted to make those two posters that we made because, I wanted to have the menu. And it was like, I'm going to send that dude an email. And that's how the love started. And we never left each other because, it's always Lane and me but we kind of, with Yella, he is the backbone because it is good to have ideas, but he translates, I always come up with ideas. I'm a very creative guy, but I have divisions in my head, but I got yellow and I talk to him and I say the weirdest stuff. And instead of going like, yeah, he just goes like, oh yeah, but we can do this and that. And it always, whatever. I mean, I think I got some great ideas, but yellow always makes them better, and he actually just left about an hour ago. We're working on something else. It should have been a meeting of an hour. He's here for 4 hours, drinking all the coffee, and yeah, there is just some it's the energy that goes on. And I always was like, I wanted to learn to take photos too, but no, it doesn't feel right. Yellow should always be the guy, because if I start doing it myself, that whole tennis game with ideas, it's just weird. You start with something and it can be the weirdest thing, because I found this war pig that was written by one of the old Greek gods, and he goes like, oh, what's his name, Gulenbursti. And I mean, come on, you cannot come up with this shit. It's some Nordic aggressive pig with a high and he's just into that stuff. It's always like, and I love that. You need somebody. I mean, I think you can see all the books in the back. I'm always looking for stuff that I'm like, oh yeah, let's do this. Oh, that's a little too crazy. No, it's not too crazy. Let's add some blood, but
Yeah.
yeah, but that's how you do it, and even when Russo was growing bigger, well, you got to be a little bit careful, because the bigger you get, some people take stuff that you say or do to they make a big thing of it. When I wear a t-shirt with some text, they go like me. I used to have like all these rock and roll shirts, hail this, hail that. I'm not even going to say it because I'm going to get shit over me again. But they're like, oh my God, Robert believes in this. No, it's a t-shirt. So yeah, it's you got, but you gotta find you always. I think the Peter Pan syndrome is very important when you own a shop, or when you own a brand, or when you make art or write a comic or whatever you do. It is very important that stuff that you make puts a smile on your face. And now with Instagram or whatever, I see it with some artists. I mean, they want to keep their Instagram alive, so they just make more so they can post more instead of putting more time in one thing. And I think you got to be careful with that, because you cannot measure the quality of work in likes or whatever. You can measure quality of the things that you make in the feeling it gives you. I once said in a documentary, when I do an absolutely amazing haircut, I kind of want to chop the head off and hammer it on the wall, to keep looking at it, because I really, really love that hair. I love the fact that the client is happy with it. But, and I get the same when I look at my colleagues that post haircuts, an amazing haircut. Actually, even before I went into barbering and hairdressing, it's always been a thing for me. Elvis Presley, it's iconic. Hair for me, it's like Grace Jones. It's like when you can see, I just get excited, and that is what I tell people in the old school too. If you don't get that feeling anymore, it's just what you were talking about earlier. Your body gets older, it gets harder. But you got to get excited, not on every haircut, but you got to feel excited at least once a day. If you don't feel that, you got to find your niche. You got to do the photos. You got to have a student that just picks. I mean, if you have an apprentice and you explain something and they try and they try and they try, but then the quarter drops, you can see it in their eyes. That feeling. It's so important to keep you going, not just your apprentice, but you as well, because you share that feeling, because you remember that feeling. Remember when you had to do your first haircut and you didn't know where to leave the comb? And now when I teach somebody and they're standing with the comb and they want to put it in their mouth or under their armpit, and you go, oh yeah, I used to do that. You don't think about it anymore. And you see that these are very important things. I don't even remember the question.
It doesn't matter. It does not matter.
Yeah.
It's perfect. That was the best segue into, talking about the photography, that you guys really have this like marriage of like grit, to polish, and somehow these two like opposing things like completely work together. But then segue into like really just hearing you talk about art and what you create, like seriously, I could talk about this shit all day. It's amazing. It's so amazing. But truthfully, what I did want to hone in on is the history part of it, and how much of the history of hair and the history of craftsmanship and what you bring to your own company, to your own work. It's so important. And I think what you were saying too about with what you do see on Instagram, and Instagram's a fantastic tool, and it is going to continually drive new and innovation. But as an educator too, there are moments of pause that I give going, but I hear what you're saying about this new idea, or do you know where this technique came from? Do you know or understand the history, that the foundation, the ground that was laid to get us where we are today? And I think that that's something that you guys are vocalizers of, but also like it shows in all of the work that you do. Your brand is your brand, but you pay tribute and really that homage to what was in the past and idealizing that, but then turning it around and making it something that's new and relevant and super important that people want. And then it becomes this amazing pop culture that can stick. And I think you guys have the power to do that. Talk to me a little bit about what is important for you with preserving the history of the craft.
Well, you are preserving the history also by taking it to the future. See, the thing is, there are a couple of haircuts that will stand the tooth of time, you know, and I think that if you look back, if you see what I used to do in the 80s, I don't want to see what I did in the 80s. I don't want to show photos of that to anybody, you know, but it's been part of coming to appreciate. I mean, even when I got, you know, I used to be this a punk rock kid, and the first haircut I ever did was a mohawk on a friend of mine, probably smoking weed, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, even when doing a mohawk, it looks so easy. I think it's one of the hardest haircuts to do, to get that stripe exactly in the middle, because the shape of the skull will push your clipper in. It's just like, so that's where education starts. It's not doing this. It's what you think, but then you will actually have the mohawk like here, and then it goes in, and you go, oh shit, and then it ends up somewhere. But that is your that sounds like basic education. But you know what? So I know this is gonna probably sound horrible from an educator, but I had an epiphany like a couple of months ago when we were doing a longer haircut, because I went to classic beauty school. So when we had to learn to do the perms, you had to do the 9, right? And all of a sudden, I was teaching one of my students, and I'm doing this the sectioning, and it was like, okay, we want to keep some length, we want to do this, and I'm looking at my section, and I go like, oh my god, this is my perm sectioning. I have never realized how important that this is. Like, this is the foundation of everything, and this is 25 years in the business. And it was like, oh, wait a minute, it was never about the rollers. You know, that is that perfect mohawk in the middle, which is so. And again, I know a lot of stylists are going to go, really, Rob, really 25 years to figure that out? Yeah, but you know, I was already pretty good at hair before that. But you know, you realize stuff. Now, what I think is really, really strong is that everybody that looks at our work goes like, oh, everybody looks like Elvis. It's really old. It's really, but then I go like, you do know that, you know, Elvis Presley, you know, he was demonized by the whole generation before him for wearing his hair like that. He used to be an innovator too. And you gotta remember that, you know, that even those classics that you love so much, because a lot of the stuff that people are posting nowadays are not as classic as they might think. Try to find a photo of Elvis Presley with a skin fade. He never had that. That was actually kind of before Elvis. So I think it's very important to know where haircuts come from, and it doesn't stop at 1920. I think that if you talk about pompadours, you should know, and especially, I mean, we made it. We are this very masculine shop, which we are actually not. I'm from the Netherlands. But it was kind of a wink, like the man cave kind of thing. It got completely out of hand, and everybody was asking for the pompadour. And at a certain point, I'm like, look, the pompadour is named after Madame de Pompadour, who was the mistress of, I don't know how you say it in English, Lodewijk XIV, well, the 14th king of France.
Oh, yes.
And that's where the haircut, it's a girl's haircut, so you can walk around all like, yeah, look, know your history, know what you're talking about, right? And that is the same with flat tops, Mohicans. Subcultures kind of stole from each other, and they made things bigger. And I love that. You got to learn to appreciate a haircut, not just for being able to do that haircut, but there are some the silhouettes that will tell you without even seeing somebody's way of clothing, like, oh my God, he belongs to that gang, And back in the days, it was actually, you were telling a story with it. Some haircuts literally meant don't fuck with me. Yeah, because and that is just really, and growing up with punk rock and the hardcore scene and psychobilly, I have always been a huge lover of everything that happened in the margins. I've never been part of mainstream but I do understand that the margins kind of influence the whole mainstream pop culture and everything. So I'm kind of swimming between all of things that are happening. I'm looking at what my daughter is doing. I'm looking at what her boyfriend's doing. I might do his haircut, but he comes up to me and he goes like, yeah, I want to have a Joe Strummer haircut. And I go like, oh my God, you're listening to The Clash? But the cool thing is he knows everything about hip hop too. Back in my days, no, you were either a rocker or a skin. And if you were a skin and you saw a rocker, it was your job to beat the rocker up because it was street gangs. There were tribes out there. But now it's all mingling. And that's what I love. But this kid, this boyfriend of mine, he knows about Joe Strummer. How cool is that?
It's amazing. How old is he?
Yeah. What?
How old is he?
He is 20, 21.
That's awesome.
But you got to imagine that he knows about Joe Strummer, but he plays in a band where he plays funk. And then the next day he's here. He has a playlist with only hip hop, and I go like, back in my days, that was not even, you would look down on hip hop and blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And I think it's amazing. The kids nowadays, they don't care about that shit anymore. They're just way cool. We were trying so hard to be cool, and these kids now, they're just cool without trying. It's so much more inspiring, but they do know where stuff come from. You know what I mean?
It's huge. It's awesome. That's so awesome. I think that's incredible. Thank you for sharing that. Well, and yes, long live rock, but I do love the mashup of it all. And I love that we can get a chance to, make all things come together and have that fluidity and creating something new and special. But it all comes from that journey. I think paying attention to where it came from is key. So it's fantastic. I want to also ask you a little bit about, we touched on like the physical side of things and like the demand of like, not only are you behind the chair and educating and business owner and product innovator and just worldwide phenomenon. All of that is taxing. And I think that it's tough to weather all that the world throws at you in a normal world. Obviously, this world that we're all in is kind of extra in all those difficult ways. But self-care and really leaning in with how do I prioritize myself rather than, going into depression or going into bad habits or going into like, I literally just can't stand all day. And what do I need to do to help my body so I can be behind the chair? All these, whatever, how deep or how light the issue is, I think that people do need to consider their own selves and their own bodies. And I know you've been really open with talking about how you've taken control over your own physical wellness, your own mental wellness. And if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit, I would love to hear, and I would love to share that with our listeners.
Absolutely. No, I am definitely open about it. I think it's really important because 2 years ago, I quit a lot of things that were really bad for me. I've always been a drinker. I've been addicted, and it became a huge monkey on my back. And I have been through the whole scene that I'm from, going out, living very freely. I've always been a recreational user, but it grew out of hand. And for the last 15 years, it was not a joke anymore. I think it's good that you touch depression, because nowadays it's horrible. Numbers are going up. Suicide numbers are going up. In our business, there have actually been some situations last year of people I used to know very well that sank too deep into depression, which not ended all that well. And I mean, I think I've been very close to a point. Depression is an illness, but it's like when you have a cold, you have to take care of yourself. You shouldn't go out without a jacket. And maybe depression is the same kind of thing. See, I believe that some of us, especially when it comes to drugs, there are two kinds of people. I think if you had your first headache in your life, now I think you can solve a headache nowadays with a big glass of water, but I learned from my first headache that if I take an aspirin, the pain goes away. So if your brain gets used to that click, it is very easy to learn. I used to be very shy. I have a stutter. Maybe you already heard that I sometimes talk around words because some words are very hard for me to pronounce. So I was bullied a lot. I was very shy. I was afraid to talk in public. And what I found out is if I do cocaine or speed or whatever, it goes away. And I found that out at a very young age. And all of a sudden, I could talk to everybody. So that was my medicine. And I think a lot of people that are in that situation are doing self-medication because they know it's going to work. And especially with depression, it's very dangerous because you need more and more. And at a certain point, you just lose yourself. You get very egocentric because the whole world, the whole universe is about you. Now, I have always been known to do that, party hard. And at a certain point, it's not partying anymore. It's just escaping from reality. But you gotta learn to see this. You gotta learn to recognize this. And then we started to travel. Now, if you've been bullied for being a nothing, yeah. I was I was really quiet, shy, a little fat, and I was very good in school. So for other kids, that's the perfect prey, right? I had huge glasses. I have -10, so I was the perfect target, So when you at a very young age get all that shit, you build an armor. For me, it was the tattoos, it was an attitude, and especially with the drugs, I knew because that's what you learn, if somebody hits you, you hit back with being stronger, which is not a very good attitude towards life, I think. But thing is, so you always live with that. You don't really get to learn to trust people because you always think that they talk nice just to punch you in the just punch in the back. And then when we opened Schorem and everybody, I mean, you know, I was already left, but it's old scars. And then with Schorem, everybody's like, "Oh my God, they're so great." You know, you get to travel the world, and everybody, wherever you go, people want to take photos with you, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're my idol." Hey, you got to be very careful with that, because that is some drug that is really easy to start believing, and it's even harder when it falls away, you know, and you want to stay there, so you work even harder, and you want to be the nicest guy in the world. Well, it drove me nuts, you know. So because my son was born, my ex-wife, it was not, you know, the whole world thought, "Oh my God, this guy is living the life." But I don't know, I was living the life, but I forgot about home, so I really screwed up. And then the depression, I mean, you go higher and higher, but you fall deeper and deeper, right? So about 2-3 years ago, I was just done. I was like, I had to dig so deep to get motivated to actually work, you know. And then that whole pressure of social media and trying to stay where you are, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is not Rob." I was complete, and from one day to another, I woke up. And I've tried to quit so many times, you know, but there is always the new party, and then you sober up, because hangovers, everybody thinks they last a day, but they last a week, you know. So and and then after a week, you'd be like, because that is the dangerous thing. You drink or use when you feel good about yourself, but also when you feel bad about yourself. So whatever, you either want to party or you want to forget. But this one day I woke up, another hangover, another, and I was done. I haven't touched a drop since. I didn't do anything since. And I picked up running. So I used to run back in the days. And I just started again. And so whenever, especially in the first 3 months, I had the cravings, you know, going like, "Oh my God," because you're so used to. I used to be out of there every day, you know, every day. Sometimes even before I had my coffee, there was already something going on. And so when I quit from one day to another, I think now, 2 years later, I'm actually back to who I am, which is not per se a better person. I'm very grumpy. I am very, like, you know, I'm not social anymore. No, but that is the other part of it. I have enough with myself, my girlfriend, my son, my daughter. It's enough, you know. I love doing my work, but I'm more balanced out. And especially with the running, you know, because, and I run far. I mean, I just did, like, I don't know what it is in miles. I did 32 kilometers yesterday. The day before that, I did about 15 kilometers. So, but
20 miles, 18 miles.
yeah, something like this. So, but it
You're
gets
running
me.
half marathons and near
I
marathons.
I run about two half the marathons a week, and then some. So I do the short, faster ones too. So I'm super fit. Lost a lot of weight, which just feels good, you know, to get because. And what I think is super important, I was a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian for quite a long time, but I went completely vegan. So I'm fully plant-based. And that did a lot with my mind too. Now I don't want to be the teachy preachy guy, because there is enough on the internet if you want, like, the vegan, uh, the police to tell you, "Oh, don't." But I do want to be an advocate for it for just a little bit, because I felt that when I think it's a karma thing, and I'm not a religious man, but I do think that if you put um, an animal will always have stress, you know, pain. And I think when you take that out of your system, it's just, I don't know, but mentally, I did not realize how far gone I was, but there are so many bad emotions like fear, anxiety, depression. I'm not saying it's completely gone, but it's 80% gone. And I'm very serious about that. I am very balanced out with the world around me. And I can feel it in everything. I don't, my temper is down, because I am far from a perfect guy. Trust me, I have a temper and I am very emotional. So I react very emotional to everything. But going plant-based, taking care of my body, being fit, yeah, it's the universe. It's like, don't put that meat, don't put, you know, read about it. Read about it and feel your body. A lot of people say, like, if you want to detox, you drink water for a week, and it's true. But yeah, and it was crazy getting to get off cheese and chocolate. Man, it was maybe harder than the cocaine. But now I can't even, I still make a toasty for my son because I cannot force him to go full vegan, so he eats vegetarian when he's here. But now when I make a grilled cheese sandwich, it just doesn't smell good to me anymore. It's so weird because I was scared of that. I was like, oh my God, I can't cheese anymore. I don't have my wine anymore now. But it's just a minor thing actually. And now I'm just over it. So
Well,
yeah.
it's what a journey. I mean, seriously, what a journey. And I think that everybody, for whatever reason, I've definitely had my struggles in the past as well with needing to step away from those crutches and those coping mechanisms, let alone, and now it's just from the mental side of things, but just let alone from, standing behind the chair again, like I keep saying, standing behind the chair for as many hours as I do, my body itself, my veins have become lax in their elasticity. And so I have severe blood pressure issues due to that, where I can't regulate my own blood pressure. So for me, the running didn't start for me with the need of the physical. It was more the mental. I know when setting up this chat, I touched on, depression, and bringing that up for us to discuss was really important as well. And I, 3 years ago, I sadly lost two of my family members. My grandmother died unexpectedly at my grandfather's bedside, and he passed the next day. And these are paternal and maternal figures in my life. When losing them, I felt so lost with everything. I had nowhere to put that love, put that energy, and down the rabbit hole I went. So one day I decided, okay, I'm going to strap on these shoes I haven't worn in a really long time, and I'm going to run as far as I freaking can. I'm going to close the door behind me. I'm going to hit the pavement, and I'm going to run. And to tell you the honest truth, I think that day when I took off the first time, I hoped that I would just, collapse with a heart attack and be gone too. I was that depressed and that sad. But all of a sudden, these these happy endorphins sort of kick in, and you're like, oh, wait a second. That what has been pulled over my eyes, that I haven't been able to see anything except the destitute in my sadness. That first run changed a lot for me. And I too had run previously when I was a lot younger. But, as I kind of wanted to work through that, it really did begin to change my mindset. I do think that diet plays a huge role in that as well. I couldn't agree with you more. I also have been a vegetarian, since I think 97 or some craziness like that. But having a thoughtfulness about what goes into your body and what energy you're putting in to give energy back out, I agree with you 100%. I think that there is this sort of it's all a link in a chain, right? Like everything that you put inside you is going to have some effect one way or another. And anyway, so long story short, in the end of it, I run a lot too. Sometimes I find myself, and I don't know, maybe this is because I'm still always working through my own wellness, my own mental wellness with that. But there are days that I push it a little too hard. Like I would push other behaviors a little too hard, that it becomes this, yes, I'm doing good for my body, but like this extreme approach with it. And so I kind of have to, like, again, like you were saying, listening to your body and understanding what is happening on the inside. Why are you doing the things that you're doing? Because there's definitely days when I'm like, that was stupid, that I just
Yeah.
that was insane. And is that just the same mental state as like, I'm gonna finish that bottle in my hand, you know, like, is that, so I grapple with that a little bit myself.
First of all, I'm always a bit jealous that, I mean, English is not my first language, so I do not always know to pick the words as good as you guys do. And obviously, I could tell my story in Dutch way easier because I still gotta have to do that thing. But yeah, we are extreme people that have that. I mean, I go over the top all the time because, and it was the same when still on drugs, and you know, even as a child, to find my boundaries and cross them. And I do that with my work. I do that with my brand. The moment people say till here, no further, I want to look over that wall just to see what, because you know, why are you telling me not to go? That's where the interesting shit must be. So yeah, I cross that line too with the running. But you know, I want to kind of, and I know it sounds a little over the top, but I kind of want to feel that pain. I want to know how far I can go, and you know, because if I'm not living on the top of what I'm doing, I'm just not there, you know. It is with work, you know. I can be super lazy. Even when I'm lazy, I am the laziest man in the world. I don't do a little lazy. I just don't want to move. I just want to, but when I work. You know what I mean? It is, you know, I always, and even when you're lazy, you're thinking, but the running, man, the best ideas, and for those that don't run can go like, oh yeah, well, but it's so true. And I think it's with every the moment you are making the endorphins when you're running, I still look for a high. I need a high. I need to get out of my mind. I need to get out of my body, you know. And I will find a way, and thank God I'm all done with all the bad stuff. But it opens the creative, I don't know, the mindset. You know, I'm just open. I think that creative is in the air, but you got to pull out the antennas. And with running, that is exactly what you do. So I feel you when you have. There are so many days I don't even want to put on the shoes. I put on the shoes and I look at them for an hour before even going outside. I'm like, fuck this. No, I'm not going. It's raining. You know, I always go, and within 5 minutes, I'm like, oh, thank God. You know, I went. And even when people are looking at this interview or whatever, and they go like, yeah, you know, I have the best tip in the world. I really believe this. I know it's a little harder when you're in Phoenix, probably, but I walk everything. When I have to go to my dentist, and he is like 4 miles away from here, I don't take the tram or car or whatever, or the bike. I walk. And when you start doing that, you know, running becomes so much easier.
Yeah.
That is my. It's a stupid tip, but it's my golden tip. Just don't take the car when you don't have to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, you know, you did say about just getting out of your mind, and it resonates so much with me, because I have this like constant on, like the switch is always freaking on, and there's always like chatter on the inside, and then self-doubt and courage and creation, and it's just like nonstop on the inside. I always say, I'm like, calm, glassy surface, like the peaceful lake on the outside, and it is a raging hurricane on the inside, and nobody knows it except for me. And so when I get out on that pavement and you get this escapism in your mind that like at least it's a healthy escapism. I'm not like drinking
Yeah,
to
but
pass out.
but it's exactly the same. It's
Yeah.
what you do. It's
Mm-hmm.
what, and
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, it's what we've learned.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that is the danger, because if
Yeah.
you get something that always works, you learn to trust it, whether it's drugs or alcohol. And thank God it's behind me now. But
Mm-hmm.
it works. It's the same with running,
Yeah.
because you're putting it in the perfect words. People see this, but inside it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's
Constant.
hard.
It's hard.
Yeah,
And at
yeah.
night too. I mean, it's hard to like lay there and like have this like peaceful wash over you to be able to like turn it off and sleep. And I often run in the evenings here because, well, one, it's Phoenix and it's hot during the day. So even at night in the summer times, it's still over
Oh,
100 Fahrenheit. So we're really warm here. But I'll hit the ground at night, hit it out on the pavement, come home, and then it's like quick shower and jump into bed. It was like get that last little expenditure of energy out, and then I can like shut down. But my favorite part about when I'm in that moment though is, and I equate it to when you're driving a car and you have zoned out and you're like, I just went through 3 intersections and I don't remember if the light was red or green. That moment, I have found this way with running that definitely happens where I'm like, oh damn, 3 miles just passed like that. But when I recognize that that's happening, I feel like I've kind of let everything else go. You get that like a little of that euphoria, but at the same time, all of the chatter is gone. And that is when I get my most creative ideas. Right there, when I felt like I don't remember how many miles it was, I totally spaced out. I'm sort of coming back into the reality of like, okay, this is where I'm at, mile marker. Okay, I know my surroundings. And then I just start dreaming up and creating. And there's something really pure about that moment. So I don't know if that ever happens to you, but
it's very, very recognizable. Sometimes I'm here at home with a problem that I got to solve and I just don't know. And thank God I got Lane, my business partner, because he is my business partner. He takes care of business, but he relies on me for the creative part and to. So, and sometimes, it's weird. I can give myself an assignment actually. I can go like, I need 20 designs for 20 stickers. I go for a run. And I have learned to trust that the ideas will pop in my brain. Now, from 100 ideas, normally only one or two are going to do the work, but it's 100 ideas. So I come home, I write that shit down. The next day I forget about it, but even there are always little notes around the house everywhere because I think of things. Yeah, well, there you go.
yeah.
It's like literally everywhere are notes, and I go like, oh, I gotta call Yella, and that's just what I do. Sometimes I only send words, and he goes like, okay, banana, blah blah, and I go, yeah, no, but you gotta see like little. And yeah, because it's cleaning your mind out. So, and I have the same, kilometer for kilometer, and it's just insane. And what I love about it, I do it alone.
Yeah.
So,
Me too.
there's no responsibility. And I just go. I don't even really have a course. I actually did a podcast not too long ago for a running magazine. And I told these guys, I still get lost every once in a while. And I discover little villages around Rotterdam. But I literally sometimes have to go on my phone, put on my Google Maps, because I have to know where Rotterdam is. When you do 20 miles and plus, I'm just like, oh, But that is great because getting lost is the best thing in the world, because you leave the path that was set out,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where you discover stuff you don't know. So yeah, it's the metaphor. It's a metaphor, but it's definitely a metaphor for life. Just get lost. It doesn't matter. You're going to see things you've never seen before. And, it's going to trigger your mind to think creative because you have to get off the path that you already know to get creative. Easy as that.
It's awesome. I mean, truly, I know that you did what you did because you needed it. And I know that I did what I did because I needed it. It wasn't for anybody else. I am just really grateful to be able to share like this with you because I think that, again, back to like people need it in the course of human history. I mean, we've all been the generations and over the centuries. I mean, depression has been there at every turn across human existence. This year for us feels rough. It feels really rough. And I think that there's a lot of people that could benefit from hearing that from you. So I really, truly grateful for your sharing of it. And I think that it can land in such a way of positivity for people who need to hear it right now. So I'm grateful.
Absolutely. You know what? There was this meme out there. I turned it into a quote. I think it's the best one. Nature has sent us to our rooms to think. And it's like what your mom used to, you go to your room and think about what you did. That is Mother Nature has sent us to our rooms to think about what we did. And I think it's all connected, but it's dangerous being at home, being confronted with yourself, and I don't know exactly what it's like in your part of the world. Thank God I'm still allowed to run because there is an evening clock here in the Netherlands now. The Netherlands are not, for the first time since I was born, I love the Netherlands. We are such an open-minded country. We were the first with all progressive marriages, whatever. Nobody, and I've always been very proud of that. But the Netherlands at the moment, it's not a fun place, because with the evening clock, yeah, it's not good at the moment. But thank God I can run or ride a bike or whatever. It's the most important thing, and that's definitely what I want to tell people who are locked at home. Stay in touch with nature because you are you are a part of it. And you can love your your phone and whatever, but don't forget about that. I think it's the same with not eating meat. Bioindustry things have happened so fast. We wanted to everything had to become faster, bigger, cheaper. Well, it's we kind of passed ourselves. So when you're at home, think about balance and think about because I have children. I am leaving this world to them. So if I want to leave a better, I got to start with myself. Even when people go like, "You really think you're going to make a difference?" Yeah, maybe not just me, but people thinking about it together. We will make a difference. You can actually tell that a lot of people are not as relaxed with eating meat as they were. When you look at the supermarket, I mean, when you were a hardcore vegan 10 years ago, you were bound to eat beans and potatoes. But nowadays, I mean, we in Rotterdam, we have a vegan junk food bar. Oh my God, it's so good. And it's not healthy,
No.
but it's all plant based, but it's like, oh my God, it's so good. They got everything. You can binge on it. Then afterwards have a vegan the Ben and Jerry's or whatever. It's not like it's, but it makes you feel good. It's
Every
important.
once in a while, it's nice. Every once in a while,
Binge on it. Yeah, with all the running, I burn so many calories that I can basically eat whatever I want.
I saw you post on Instagram the other day. It was a couple days ago, I think, and you did that big, massive run. And the one thing I honed in on it was like calories burned 2,500. I was like, dang.
Yeah. It's crazy, huh?
That's
But
a
that
lot.
is the fun thing for people that actually walk. 2 hours walk is the same as an hour of running. It doesn't change. That's where people always think they have to do crazy numbers. That is not true. Just learn to walk and you'll burn all that stuff off if that's your goal. That's not my goal, but I do find that if I burn a lot, I mean, when I'm hungry, I eat. I'm not like, but even that is imbalanced, and it just makes me feel so much. But I do not feel guilt about what I eat anymore. It's not. I'm at a very good place in my life right now. So I would advise everybody, just take a look, because there is literally, you can change everything in your life. If there are negative feelings, you can change them, step by step. But you have to take the first step. It's all cliches, but if I can do it, and this is really true, because I was far gone, and I just needed that slap in the face. I gave it myself, because people have been saying that to me for ages. You got to change your lifestyle, but you really got to tell it yourself.
Absolutely. You have to
Yeah.
make that decision for yourself, because it's just annoying if it's coming from anybody else. It's just like, you don't
It's,
know anything, whatever. I've got this. It's dismissive,
yeah.
anger, defense, all of that. It needs to come from within. And, thank God you had the day that you woke up and decided to do that, and look at you now. Incredible. Absolutely incredible.
Thanks.
Well, I have to ask you this this question before I go into my fun pop-up questions for you, my quick fires. But I would love if you could confirm or deny this for me. This is a personal question from me to you. So my family, and when we first emailed, I said, kidding, not kidding, my family's from the Netherlands as well. So in Winterswijk, is that how you say it? Winterswijk?
Winterswijk.
Winterswijk. Okay, so
Yeah.
I am a Tessel descendant from Winterswijk, and my grandmother, the grandparents I was just telling you about, who
Yeah.
passed,
Opa and oma.
my grandmother was a Spitfire, 4-0, and just a Spitfire. And my grandfather, whose family came from that region and then settled in Nebraska, of all places, she used to yell at him and be like, Ronald Dean, you're such a stubborn old Dutchman. And so I have a question for you. Are all Dutchmen stubborn?
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
there, Grandma, you go. You called it like it was.
Yeah. Yeah. I think most of us are. Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
I thought, I have to ask you just to be a little comic relief.
Especially from the areas you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah. It's like old farmer life. We are very. I think things have changed, but if I'm looking at the yeah, absolutely.
On point.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Well, thank you for confirming. My family will highly enjoy that.
No, we definitely. Yeah, there is not much room for. No. Your Oma was absolutely right.
She was right about a lot of things. Let me tell you that. She was right
Yeah,
about a lot of things.
of course, she was Dutch.
Okay, so I have a quick fire questions for you. Okay, so I think with all of us behind the chair, we all get this little bit of superstition. So I need certain things to do my craft, and if they're not in place, I have a full mental shutdown. What is the one thing you can't work without? Not tools and stuff, like one thing that you have to do that you can't start a haircut without.
Coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I always have. I mean, if there is one vice left in my life, it's coffee. I drink about 10, maybe more a day. I have a cup of coffee with every client.
Cheers.
Every client. Well, I actually have a cup of tea right now, but no, that is one thing. And I know I should not talk about tools, but I have this white comb, and if I do not have that comb, I'm not going to do the haircut.
What
It's
comb is it?
I don't need that one particularly. It's not. Wait a minute.
You got it.
I have
wanna
one.
see.
Yeah, I got it.
See, I always call these quick fire questions, and then there's nothing quick about anything I do. Oh, wait, is that the bully comb?
It's I don't know what it is. It's a cricket.
Oh, yeah,
But
yeah.
Yeah, it's really weird. I can do when I'm doing my clipper over comb, I actually don't care that much,
Yeah.
but I need that one. Plus, I need a vent brush.
Yeah.
If I got this one, a clipper and a vent brush, I can do whatever you want. I literally travel the world with that. But if I don't have this one, I cannot get used to another. This is the one I need.
I love that style comb. It's very similar to the type of comb that I use myself. And it's the same thing. Like everybody else in the salon has different colors of it, but everyone knows which one mine are. Don't take my comb.
It is so weird because especially in the barber industry, everybody is about clippers.
Yeah.
Now I got definitely a favorite brand, but I don't care. I can do the haircut with any brand of clip. I don't care if they sent me to a country where I don't mind, but that one.
That's the one. That's the one. Must have it.
That's
Okay.
the one.
So even vegetarians and vegans have preferences. What is your most loathed or hated vegetable?
Oh my God, I don't know how you call that in English. I have absolutely no idea how you call it. Wait a minute. I'm gonna look it up because this is the one I do not like. Wolf Engels. Okay. Chicory. Chicory?
Oh, yeah.
Chicory?
Chicory. Yeah. I like a root.
Chicory? Yeah. I'm not into that.
No.
I don't know. I mean, and I am very, very easy with a lot of things. But that is the vegetable. I just, it's bitter. My mom used to make it. I have very bad the memories about it. She used to do it in the oven. She cooked it. She was like, oh, this is the healthiest thing in the world. I can't eat it. I hate that one.
All right, no chicory for you.
No chicory for Rob.
What song has to be on your running playlist?
Kickstart My Heart.
I love it.
Yeah. From Motley Crue, yeah.
Here, Rob, I gotta show you.
I just really, really love that song. It's not that I'm a huge fan of the Motley. Oh my God, look at that. Here. There you go.
Sorry, that was super inappropriate.
No, I'm always about, punk rock and the small indie bands and blah, blah. But honestly, I grew up with Guns N' Roses, with Motley Crue, with Aerosmith, and that's just my thing. I always wanted to be Axl Rose, that was when I probably was like 14, 15, very important time in my life. And then I discovered, all the punk rock bands, and then I got more, and then I was like, oh no, I only listen to this and that because it was, it's very elite. And, but now that I'm growing older and all that shit is gone, I'm just like Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, Motley Crue, Decade of Decadence. I'm like, yeah, that's like, that always works. AC/DC.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I love that. I love that you said Kickstart My Heart. But with Guns N' Roses though, Appetite's amazing. And my husband and I go around and around about this because I like Appetite. It's phenomenal freaking record, but I cannot stand Chinese Democracy. I cannot stand it. I know everyone waited for it for 10 years. I can't. I'm not a purist. I can't stand it.
You want to hear a secret? I never heard it.
Don't.
I never heard it. I'm like, you know what? And I saw Guns, what's really bad. I went to Guns N' Roses about a year ago, 2 years ago, maybe. And I went there when I was a 16, and they played in the Netherlands again at the same place. And when I was 16, I was like way in front, against the fences, trying to fight my way out of it. And now I was like in the back with a friend of my same age, going like, yo, it's great, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, like the tough guy look in the back. Yeah, back in my days. And I was like, that was so in my face. It was like, oh my God, I'm not the guy anymore. I don't want to be in. I could just see all these young kids coming out covered in sweat. And I was like, oh, I used to be, yeah, maybe later. Maybe I'm going to do it. I was like, no, I'm not going to do it.
We
Oh,
hit
that was
40 and it doesn't happen anymore. It does not
well, I
happen.
would do it at the small gigs, I'm still in front, but like this big, massive thing, I would not come out alive, I guess. I don't know. Just, that was one of those. I really like growing older. I don't have a problem with it at all. I get smarter, I get more relaxed. I'm finding out that a lot of things I used to be so anxious about. I'm like, oh man, it was not important. I wish I knew this. But that was one of the moments, like with skateboarding or whatever. You just get scared, man. You're just like, oh, you don't think, yeah, I can do it. You're gonna go like, oh, I might break this, I might do that, I might not be able to work tomorrow. It's, but yeah, part of life, I guess.
I love it. I love it. Well, maybe one day when the world permits, we can go stand in the back at a show together.
Absolutely. Look angry. Talk about days gone by. Remember, in my days, everything was better.
That's fantastic. Favorite running shoe right now?
Oh, I'm not an expert, but
Me either. Me
I
either.
just, I just got these 2 days ago. So they're Brooks. Thank God. I called the guy from the shop
Mhm.
because I want to shop a local. I did not want to order them in one of the
Yeah.
bid.com companies. So I just gave him a call and I showed him the shoes I had. I always buy them at the same place because they look at the way I run, blah, blah. And he brought them to my house. So that's awesome. So,
That's
and he was just
fantastic.
like, "Oh, you're gonna want these ones." I showed him my soles how they wore out. So he was like, "I'm gonna bring you these, and they're perfect shoes." So they gave really good advice.
That's awesome.
So yeah, but I am not like a brand kind of guy. It's not like I want Nike or I want Brooks. This is just my running shoe.
I'm the same way, but I liked just to pick your brain on that question because I wasn't sure. I mean, I've always said, like, I don't know if the shoe feels good and I don't get shin splints and it's fine, then I'm good to go. But I just was curious on what your fave was. So because with, again, kind of following along on the social media side of things and seeing some of the amazing, like, YouTubes that you guys have posted, and I know how much you love Elvis and frequently say this, but we are in crazy times right now. So if Elvis was here today, what would Elvis do?
Oh my God, what would Elvis do? I don't think it is weird. We got this famous Rotterdam guy called Jules Dilder. He passed away. He was a poet and he was a writer and he was called the Nightmare of and this is somebody I absolutely adored. And he passed away right before COVID. And a lot of people actually go like, what would Jules say about this? And I think a lot about that. But to think with Elvis, I don't even can imagine how it would be to come from the 50s. I don't think I think this is a very interesting topic because I am that guy like, oh, I wish I lived back in those days, but things were not better. And that's where we go wrong. There was a lot of the poverty. There was a lot of, not everything was perfect. There were some horrible things actually still then that. But can you imagine going from that period to this period? I would be like, oh my God, send me back right now. Right. So I don't think Elvis could survive at this point, maybe.
Yeah.
This is a really hard question. I don't think, we always say you don't want to meet your idols, and I fully agree with that. But he would be messed up for forever. Elvis should not. I don't think anybody could tell how to handle this.
Yeah, to come from then to now for sure. Maybe
No,
though, like what you were saying before though, if how he kind of lived on the outlies of what, he brought a different perspective to the mainstream. And I don't know, maybe he would just kind of carve out his own path in this chaos that we're all in and find a way to find his voice. I don't know.
Oh
I would
man,
like to romantically think that would happen.
I would love to know things like this, but I think he paved the way for for our freer way of thinking, but this would be too much. This would be like, I mean, I've read a lot about him, and he was quite simple in his way of thinking, but he just appreciated music, and he just, I think he just was like that. Hallo, we're almost done. We zijn bijna klaar. The family enters.
Oh, hello, family. Sorry, we're gabbing away. We're gabbing away still.
No, don't worry about it.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Wat goed?
Ja, het gaat
Goed zo.
goed.
Nog heel eventjes praten.
I'm Amber.
Hoe heet jij? Kun je het zeggen in het Engels?
Nee.
My name is Jens.
My name is Jens.
Nice to
Very
meet
good.
you, Jens. Nice to meet you. I love it. We were talking about what's the one thing that you must do for this year?
For this year, I am working on a project. I cannot tell you much about it, but we already shot a lot of the material for it. I think it's going to be absolutely awesome. I am so stoked about this project. And of course, you are like, what? You're saying this, and I cannot say anything about it. But it's like the best. The models that we got. It's going to be really, really cool. So at this moment, I hope from the bottom of my heart that this whole situation is going to be over as fast as possible, because that is the hardest part of 2021, being at home, having energy to create and not being able to create. It's driving me absolutely mental. So I really hope that's good. That is my biggest thing for 2021, to finish this project. You're going to be amazed, and I promise you I will send you a copy of what we are making.
Please.
So that is everything I'm going to say about it.
I love that. Well, I'll be excited and like waiting to tune in and hear how it's all coming together. We'll stay connected for sure. Well, my final question for you, and this is also that comes from my family. I've only asked one other person on the talks this, but I'm really interested to ask you this super bizarre question, but this is for my mom. She says, if you could be any kind of muffin, what kind of muffin would you be?
What kind of muffin? Oh my God, the muffins are really big in America, ain't they? It's not a really big thing here, but probably blueberry. And not with a particular reason, because they're blue.
They're blue.
I don't know. Yeah, they're berries. They're good.
Savory too.
Yeah, but it's the muffins are not like a big deal here.
Yeah.
I don't know. I bake them with my son every once in a while, and then we Jens, even stil zijn nog, jongen. And we decorate them and stuff. But yeah, no, we got no. It's not. This is niet echt een ding hier, hè, die muffins. No, it's not like in America. I know you got the big with all the kinds, and I love it.
Your face.
Not a huge finger. I'll be a blueberry muffin. You can tell your mom.
Blueberry muffin. That's perfect. I love it. Well, tell me real quick, how can people stay connected to you with the projects you're creating? And we've got your line as well. You have a book. How can people stay connected to what you and the shop are doing?
Probably social media. So we got Facebook, we got Instagram. If you want to check out the Reuzel Instagram, that's Reuzel. And then we got Schorem, of course. I got my own page, The Bloody Butcher. And through Instagram, you're probably going to be able to land on all the platforms. And of course, if you want to know more about our courses at the old school, I really hope everybody's allowed to travel real soon. It's www.schorembarbier.com. And then you go to the old school, and practically all the information is on there.
Perfect. Well, I can't wait to see what 2021 brings for you, and keep sharing in all your positivity and your inspiration, because It's
Same for you guys, because I miss the US a lot. You guys got a weird country over there, but I fell in love with it the first day I went there. I'm really, the base of our company, our main office is in Denver. So I went to the US about 10 times a year, and now I'm at home. I miss America a lot.
Well, we'll be ready to have you back over here and teaching and spreading all good things, barbering and all good things that you have to offer. And hopefully we can get back to it at some point. So I just wanted to tell you before we say goodbye, and tell me if this is right. Okay, here we go. Dankia my new friends in farewell.
That is not so bad. Dankjewel, mijn nieuwe vriend. Vaarwel. Farewell is a little, you would say that to somebody you're never, ever, ever going to see again.
Oh,
it is a very
okay.
heavy word. You would probably say,
proper goodbye. I just was trying to go for a proper goodbye.
yeah, no, but this
I'm
is
not
like,
wishing you off.
this is like farewell. No, it's like super dramatic. It's like when somebody leaves forever, a lot of crying.
Oh, I see.
Farewell, but we would, huh? Yeah, also a little bit. Tot ziens, probably. Tot ziens. Doei.
Well, I guess in my proper translation, it got a little too proper, but I really want to thank you. I truly consider this as a new friendship. Thank you for everything. Keep sharing. Thank you for taking the time, so much time and sitting with us to share. So thank you so much, Rob.
No problem. Thank you. It was super fun. So yeah, I really hope you had a good time. I had a great time. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, and I can't wait for everyone to let this all sink in. Be well, everyone, and thank you to Rob and everything that you and the barbershop do. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
If you or someone you know suffers from depression, there are resources to help. Please visit the link in Amber's Instagram at method_20_7 where there are global resources for help. Please remember, you are not alone.